affecting the Northeast.
You're watching a snowstorm in progress. The scene, Worcester, Massachusetts, the temperature 31 degrees. Good evening, I'm Dave Schwartz. It's Storm Update 96. What a long winter it has been. Even though it's spring on the calendar, that's just an astronomical event. Spring comes awfully late to New England. We'll go to Jeff Morrow in Worcester, Massachusetts in just a minute. I want to show you this storm on the satellite vantage point, the color-enhanced satellite vantage point, and you see that storm right up here in the Northeast. All this moisture, snow is coming down, Boston, Worcester, New York City, down through New Jersey very heavily, Philadelphia, Baltimore with just a little bit of light rain at the present time. Jeff Morrow is live getting pasted by that snow. Unfortunately, Jeff was late to work one day earlier this week, and we had to banish him to Worcester. So, Jeff, what's it looking like out there, babe?
Oh, Dave, hard to see around in this snow. Visibility down below a half a mile, maybe a quarter mile at times. As you mentioned, 31-degree temperature here, wind chill 13 degrees as of the top of last hour. Might be a little bit lower than that now. So it's pretty nasty here in New England. Dave, this is the second snowstorm in 3 days to hit this area. The first one brought about 5 inches of snow. This one looks to be maybe about 6 to 12 inches worth, and that would bring it very close to the record of snowfall for any given season here in Worcester. So we're talking about 12 inches tops maybe. Who knows? This is quite a nor'easter. Again, as I mentioned, conditions have deteriorated pretty rapidly as we've gone on through the evening hours. When we first got up here this afternoon, it was partly cloudy, partly to mostly cloudy, and really wasn't all that bad. Temperature almost 40 degrees, but you can see how things have changed in a big way. Did want to show you one thing, Dave, and we can pan down here. The snow now is starting to stick on the road surfaces. A very slushy snow, but this is going to be very, very slippery as we head on through the overnight hours, and it's not going to stop here. I mean, it's probably going to snow like this right on into the morning rush hour, so we're talking some real nasty roads.
That's right, as you say, 6 to 12 inches of snow. We've had reports of heavy snow down into New Jersey tonight. A winter storm warning is in effect for Ocean County, for Atlantic County, that's Atlantic City, and for Burlington County. So this snowstorm is covering a broad area right close to the coast, from Jersey all the way up into southern New England. And boy, the last thing people want to see this winter and now spring is another snowstorm, as you said, Jeff.
That's exactly right, Dave. People are getting real tired of this winter, and I'll tell you what, I got to agree with them.
Well, Jeff, you're hanging in there. Thanks so much for that report.
All righty.
We'll see you later when you'll be looking like a snowman, I guess, huh?
If I stayed out here much longer, I'm going to turn into one.
Appreciate your help, man. Stay warm. Right. Well, not only did the snow affect the folks in southern New England, but earlier today, we had snow falling in New York City. See all the clouds hugging the East Coast. There it is, our area of low pressure that sits right here, the surface low just off the coast of New Jersey. And there is a lot of lift in the atmosphere, and that's enhancing our precipitation. There have even been a few lightning strikes tonight in Providence, Rhode Island. And that whole trend is moving north toward Boston. The snow has really picked up in intensity there. Generally, 6 to 12 inches of snow are expected in an area inside of those two lines. Boston, 3 or 4 inches likely. New York City, 3 or 4 inches. I know it's wet now out there in New York City, but there'll be some slushy snow. And down into New Jersey, we've had very heavy snow, 4 to 8 inches of snow expected south and east of Philadelphia, all the way to the coast over toward Atlantic City. Now, you'll notice that our clearing line is back here. We've had actually no snow at all today in Binghamton, New York, not even a snowflake. So it's all hugging the coast right in here. This is where all the precipitation was and is, and it's going to be ending from southwest to northeast. So expect skies to clear later on tonight in Washington, D.C., but for the snow to hang around southern New England during the day tomorrow. Then we clear out. It is clear tonight, cold in Charlotte. Could be a record low tonight in Atlanta, Georgia, and then a wide area of clear skies that extend through much of the middle third of the country. We had record highs today in Wyoming and Colorado. Some clouds hanging around in Miami. They had a record too today a record at a low high temperature of only 72 degrees. It was actually as warm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada as it was in Miami. But we've got a snowstorm tonight. It's going to hang around through tomorrow. Warmer air moves in second half of the week. For the details on that, here's Christina.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Well, across the country, you can see where we are definitely dealing with the colder air here in the east. But as Dave said, we are looking at a warming trend here as we head on through the forecast. You can see this very warm air here under a big ridge of high pressure. All that is going to be sliding eastward. So right now, still very mild here, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And a little later on in the week, we'll see that warmth moving on to the east. Right now, the most active weather, of course, in the northeast where Dave showed you, but we're also looking at a little wet weather moving through southern Florida, and in the west we've got some rain and even some thunderstorms to talk about. On our radar picture, we do see the active radars through northern California, and as we head on into parts of Montana, we're actually looking at some thunderstorms here too. Right now, wet weather for western Washington, around the Seattle area to Portland, and again through Idaho, through parts of Montana, even into Oregon and northern California. We are looking at some embedded thunder showers moving through too, even some thunderstorms with some pretty windy conditions associated with some of the stronger storms. Around Red Bluff right now, a thunderstorm moving through the area, and you can see the rains spreading through the northern part of the state. And we will continue to look for the wet weather here. Things beginning to quiet down somewhat in Florida. We've had the stalled out frontal boundary here that just wouldn't go away, and still looking at a little bit of wet weather here for the Keys. Some soggy conditions still continuing, but otherwise things pretty quiet for most of Florida. Back to the maps we go, where as we head on through the week, we're going to see things changing. Right now we have a big ridge of high pressure here in the west, a trough in the east, so that's made for some very wintry conditions here in the east. That will all be changing by the northeast, of course, producing snow. Our area of low pressure, our nor'easter, significant amounts of snow here. This early spring storm bringing more thoughts of wintertime rather than early spring. In the west, rain and some embedded thunderstorms, excuse me, here too. But our travel problems are going to be in the northeast. We're going to be dealing with the snow here through Pennsylvania, through New York, and on into New England. Certainly slick roadways in your forecast through the morning rush here, and even into Wednesday, eastern New York and into New England, still snow in the forecast, and on into Wednesday night, that moisture wrapping around that area of low pressure. You're not out of the woods yet. Not only the snow, but also the cold and the windy conditions and wet weather in the northwest.
is a special edition of WeatherScope with an update on the latest storm affecting the Northeast.
The pattern of warm weather in the west and wintry weather in the eastern half of the country continues, but that will change before the weekend. Good evening, I'm Dave Schwartz. We've got a storm in the northeast. It is, well, it's almost blizzard out there. In Massachusetts, Jeff Morrow is live in Worcester. We'll go to him after you and I take a look at this satellite movie showing you the big storm. Notice the flow of the clouds in the upper levels of the atmosphere diving southward, then heading northward, and right in here, that's a trough. Right in there, there's a trough of low pressure in the upper levels. It's cold. And right here at the coast, we're wrapping some moisture on in, and most of what is coming down there is snow. Am I right about that, Jeff Morrow? Is it snowing? Oh, is it snowing? I can see it snowing. What's it looking like to you?
It's hard to see, Dave. That's the snow's coming right in my face here. Pretty stiff wind. We got a wind chill here, about 12 degrees. So, Dave, what month are we in? Is this April? I mean, to me, this feels like January, if anything, with about 2 to 3 inches of snow on the cars now and about 1.5 inches on the road surface. I don't know whatever happened to springtime. I think, I don't know that we're ever going to have a spring. We may just bypass and go directly from winter all the way to summer, hopefully. And I heard you say that by the end of the week we may finally get a little bit of a break up here. And I think a lot of people are hoping that that comes to pass, including me.
Well, Jeff, the question is not when is spring going to get here. The question is how long does winter last here in New England? Quite often, winter can last into May and April, for that matter. Hey, about an hour ago we checked with you, and the road behind you was just wet. But now I see that, and here you say that you've got 1 inch. You must have really had a big burst of snow there.
Oh, it's been snowing real hard ever since I talked to you. Even before that, there's at least 1 inch of snow, maybe 1.5 inches on the roads here, so it's getting real slick. You got to remember, though, we're at a higher elevation, so down toward the coast, maybe toward Boston and Providence, it might not be sticking quite as much, particularly on the major roads, but up here at elevation, definitely a problem. And I'm sure many areas of central New England are going to have the same problems overnight. Did want to mention, Dave, we talk a lot about thunder snow. When you actually see some thunder and lightning and it really kind of bursts down like you do in a summer rain squall. In this case, we had that here at Worcester. We had a little flash of lightning, rumble of thunder, and ever since then it has been snowing hard.
Just an indication of how much lift there is in the atmosphere. We're seeing the snow heavy now in Boston, too. I understand you might be trying to get there later on tonight. You might just have to buckle down and spend the night in Worcester the way it looks tonight, Jeff.
I think that's exactly what we're going to do, Dave.
Thanks so much for your report.
Okay.
Well, not only have we had snow in New England, not only does it look like winter in New England, but have a look at this. North Carolina, snowing. Of course, there we needed some elevation to get the snow. Up at Grandfather Mountain, 4 inches of snow, high winds added to the discomfort factor for anyone who was out. Look at that. But if you're used to the elements, you learn to just take it in stride. Well, the same storm system brought snow to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. A light dusting of snow covered the area, with a rain and snow mix at times. There's a winter weather advisory tonight for much of eastern PA. Rain and snow could continue tomorrow morning. Then it'll just get breezy and then turn warmer. Wow. There's your storm. There's the moisture heading right up the coast, now into southern New England, and that is virtually all snow. Where the precipitation is coming down hard enough, it is snowing. And there's our lightning tracker. Jeff would be right here in Worcester, Massachusetts. There's that little bolt of lightning just off to his north and east. How about that? And there's plenty more lightning out here, and that trend is heading eastward toward Boston. Boston radar's picking up a lot of precipitation now. Temperatures 33 degrees in Boston, humidity 100%, and now the wind is beginning to come out of a more north or north-northwesterly direction, or will be over the next couple of hours, which will mitigate any impact of the relatively warmer surface air sitting over the Atlantic Ocean. So that should keep the precipitation snow as long as it stays moderate or heavy, and we're seeing some heavy snow now back into Hartford. And Poughkeepsie, New York, light snow, Groton, heavy snow. I-95, a real rough go here tonight, even into New York City. Here's a band of heavy snow. Winter storm warning in effect for these counties. 4 to 8 inches of snow piling up by morning. That's Burlington, Ocean, and Atlantic counties. Philadelphia hasn't seen nearly as much snow as they have over here in Atlantic City. And a winter storm watch that was in effect for Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, just been downgraded to a snow advisory. And in the Baltimore, Washington area, the worst is over. Still snowing at Dover, also at Seaford and Salisbury, some light snow, but that is beginning to work its way off the East Coast. So there's our storm sitting right over here over the Northeast, then a big batch of clear air all the way down into central Florida and westward into Montana, where high temperatures today were in the 80s. Snow temperatures in the 30s on the East Coast, in Montana in the 80s. Some of that warm air is heading east, the focus of our forecast. Here's Christina Abernathy.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Well, we see that warm air here in the western half of the country. 60s, 70s, 80s, even at this hour. It's in the east where the cooler temperatures are, of course, along with the snow. But as Dave said, as we head on through the week, we're eventually going to see the ridge that is helping to cause all this warm weather slide eastward, and that will mean warmer temperatures moving eastward, too. Well, we see across the country quiet weather in most areas. One exception, of course, is in the northeastern U.S., where we see the snow, and into the northwest, where we see the wet weather moving in. That Pacific moisture certainly producing some wet weather and even some thunderstorms, as we see on our radar picture. Rain and thunderstorms here, some embedded thunderstorms. And then, as we see on our radar picture, we'll have to take that one out, but let's head into our focus area. Where the snow is coming down hard. Wow! In southeast New Jersey, of all places. That's where we've had the heaviest amounts of snow here. Eastern Monmouth County, 5 inches of snow. Atlantic City, New Jersey, 5 inches of snow. Up here in Allentown, Pennsylvania, further away from our storm, we've had much less snow, but we're now 1/10 of an inch of snow away from an all-time record. And we'll just add you to the list of numerous other cities here, from Roanoke and Lynchburg all the way up to Boston, who've had record snows already this season. There's our area of low pressure. It's deepening or strengthening, so more heavy snow is expected. Long Island, out in the Hamptons, we've got 5 or 6 inches of snow on the ground. It's still coming down. There's been some lightning and thunder up here around Providence and Worcester. Heavy snow expected there, the Connecticut River Valley, and then points north and east as our storm slowly heads that way. Here's our band of moisture, and wherever you see moderate to dark green, you know that the snow is coming down, it's reaching the ground, and it is beginning to pile up. Temperatures running anywhere from 31 to 35 between Boston and Philadelphia right now.
And even though it's slightly above freezing in many of those areas, the sun is down. And in some cases, the snow, even though the ground is slightly above freezing, the snow is coming down so hard, it's accumulating faster than it can melt. So it may settle by morning once it tapers off in parts of New Jersey, but there'll still be some slush left out there. It has been one rough winter, hasn't it? We've been stuck in this pattern which takes Pacific storms up into the northwest. Underneath here, it's nice and dry, or in some cases too dry, but then these storms come down, pick up some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic, and head right up the East Coast, and there you have yourselves another nor'easter. With cold, wintry weather in behind it.